Shabbat Shalom and welcome once again here to our Shabbat gathering at Light to the Nations, where we spend a beautiful time all together, week after week, with the desire of the heart to just study the Word of B'YaHuWaH and to spend some time together in unity, seeking the Word of B'YaHuWaH and His truth. It's a blessing always to be with you and to spend this time. Though this week has been a little bit strange for us, especially, I was telling Lillian that I think it's the change of season, that a little bit dizzy or
you
something
feel
like
dizzy,
that.
And I'm like, I have like vitamin, extra vitamin or something that I'm like a kind of.
So we are going to complement each other like always. Me like a little bit sleepy and dizzy, and Lillian with a lot of energy. So we welcome all of you. It's so nice to see the interaction between all of you in the chat. I see many of you connected. I just saw here Arthur and Cornelia from the other side of the city. So thank you for joining us. We know that it's later to you. And many of you from the States connected over here. I was just taking a look on the chat. And I do agree, there are so many people in need of prayers in these times. And as I saw Shannon and Camila talking about, the little children being attacked in different ways, not only with the diseases, also with all these policies that the system of the world is pushing, is just to attack those that need somebody to defend them. And we know that Yahuwah is defending all of us, that we are close to Him, but we also have a responsibility to protect those children. So I do agree. I fully agree that we need to keep everyone in prayers, especially the little ones, and those of our brothers and sisters that we have been missing, like Amy. I saw your comment. Camila, we need to keep them in our prayers, asking Yahuwah.
I sent her an email, but I haven't had any answer yet.
Okay. Yeah. So we need to keep her in our prayers, and everyone that is in need of prayers, put your comments over there, and our amazing moderators have been doing
thank you for a beautiful job.
Great service by taking all these prayer requests and posted them in the video. In the way that we are living today so fast, sometimes it's much easier these kind of things to post it in a comment in a video than going to the link that we were putting in the website, because we spent time, though sometimes it's not that good, but we spend time looking for information, videos and so on, so it's much easier to take a look in those comments. So if you have again a prayer request, put your comment here on the chat. Maybe let's do it like this. If you have a prayer request, put prayer request first, or just the word prayer in capital letters. Prayer, and then you put the comment of what's the prayer request you have. It's going to be much easier. Just a minute. It's going to be much easier for the moderators to take a look in the comment. You just copy and paste later on. Go ahead.
And it's the same I wanted to add with the question. If you have a question so we can see it, you can put the question in capital letters and then put the question. Because if not, if you're just asking with the question mark at the end, for us it's very difficult to, at least in my case, I cannot read it. I only see the names, but I think that even for you it's more easy if you have the questions.
Not today.
Not today? Okay.
Because
okay.
I'm seeing some blurry. And, but anyways,
but
I think
it's easier. It's something that could help.
So just let's take it as something to be used from today on. It's going to be much easier for everyone joining us, even for those that are not joining live and later on that are taking a look in the live chat. It's going to be much easier for them to identify. So you have a question, just begin your question with the word question in capital letter, and then the question, and you have a prayer request. Begin the comment with the word prayer in capital letter, and then the description of the prayer you need. Okay? So it's going to be much easier for each one of us. So today we will continue with the study of the book of 2 Kings. We are going to study the chapter 18 and chapter 19 is the story of the king B'YaHuWaH. It's going to be an interesting story. I think it's we were just reading the portion very fast before the broadcast. That's why we were a little bit delayed. We didn't do our homework. But sometimes it's much easier to do it like that because we are allowing the Ruach to speak through us, not only the two of us, through all of us, including you, so we can study together. All of this. And thank you, Camila, just to put the comment over there. It's going to be much easier for everyone to understand what I tried to say. So we're going to study the story of part of the story of this king B'YaHuWaH, Hezekiah. That's the
meaning of the name is Yahuwah is my strength, or Yah is my strength.
Good. And we decided to put the title of this portion. We name it B'YaHuWaH Batach. That it means
he put his trust in Yahuwah.
Excellent.
His trust.
And I think it's a good example for all of us on what we need to do. Though when we were reading it, I had some open questions about a few things that are written over there. But in the high skill things, I do believe that he's showing us a good example of what we need to do. And I just found the parallel portion in the book of 2 Chronicles. So maybe we can try to combine both things. Because there are much more information in the book of 2 Chronicles about the story of B'YaHuWaH and what he did. And I do believe it's somehow connected to what is coming ahead of us. No matter the calendar you are following, Pesach is coming on the way. So I think what they were doing, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was Sukkot, but we will see. I think they were celebrating Pesach. So we will see. Okay. What else? Anything else maybe I'm forgetting? And I just remember something. Thank you so much. I have received few emails about the calendar. I will take the time after this broadcast, this study, and after lunch to take a look in the emails and to provide a few answers. Arthur, you can expect some email from me because I need to send you a link. I just remember a few days ago something you asked me.
A long time ago.
And actually, I think in a letter you sent us recently. And I will provide you with a link to some of the information. So, and I will try to answer as much as we can. And Yahuwah is so good. It's so good. Is that when we were going to our property in the south of Chile to track the equinox, few days before, when we were debating and seeing if we were going to be able to go or not, I was telling Lillian, I want to buy a camera and I want to put the camera on top of the sundial, because if I'm not able to track, because we need to come back earlier, I'm going to just put the camera and I'm going to be tracking remotely the shadow of the gnomon over the sundial, and it's going to be much easier. But I didn't have the time to do it. And just yesterday or the one day before, a brother that I don't know, he just put a comment in the chat, and also he sent me an email, and he did exactly what I wanted to do. And I was laughing when I saw it, because that's the way that the Yahuwah do these kind of things, where maybe we cannot do it, but he's using us all in order to connect the dots and to put together this amazing puzzle. It's amazing that Yahuwah put that intention in my heart, but also in somebody else.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, but somebody else was able to do it. And now we're connecting the information, and it's something that Yahuwah is doing it by his own hand. And the same with Karen. I just Lillian shared with me the email you sent to her, Karen. And actually, I remembered in the last live stream that I put on Tuesday, I think, night. You put the comment about this little wooden box that I did, and it's something also that you were debating and discussing and doing, actually, something very similar. So it's beautiful, when these kind of things happen. It's beautiful to see is that the invisible and sometimes visible hand of Yahuwah is orchestrating all of this. Also, a brother, his name is Zach. He was participating in the live stream during the week on the calendar updates. He sent me really interesting information about other people talking about the cosmology of the earth, and how are the movements of the luminaries in a kind of simulation they did. Computer simulation, and it's so interesting. I didn't have the chance to take a look in the entire video, but I think the information is quite compelling, just to keep studying the topic and seeking the face of Yahuwah to receive more wisdom. And we need to do the same in every aspect of the word, in everything of the kingdom, even in what we are studying week after week. We need to seek the face of Yahuwah with a true heart, asking Him to guide us with this in this way, that giving information to one person, to the other person, to other people. So all together we're going to grow in the truth.
That's right.
That's right. So anything else before we move on and try to dig in on the portion of today?
Continue praying. I think that all the times that we are living are really difficult. Sometimes kind of presenting in a very multiple ways of kind of misunderstanding and things like that. And it's good that I don't know, like for instance in the morning, but that you can see and you can tell me, well, this is a kind of that. I don't know, we have to realize that a lot of things happens just because we sometimes have a perception of something, and with some information, maybe we don't have the complete information of a situation, and just missing something, and without asking, maybe in our hearts or in our minds, we have put a complete different movie, if I want to say. And if I only have to ask before assuming something, the story is something totally different. Yeah, so I think that is, maybe it was a very good example, and how everything in daily life is happening, that sometimes we are doing maybe the same mistakes, but in different aspects, that we need to ask for more. And maybe this kind of studies, because I know that sometimes people say, but why you are so interested in looking how this thing works, you only have to count and things like that. I know we are going to do it in that way. We're counting the days, we're keeping the calendar according Enoch and Jubilees. But I think that is really important, and that Yahuwah always also has like pushing us to seek more, to look for more, to get more wisdom, not just to conform with what we have. Because sometimes with all the information that we have, maybe it's little, maybe we are losing something. Maybe we are not seeing the complete picture. So the picture is bigger than what we thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are just able to see a little piece.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do something. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to do something here, because you are off camera.
Okay.
So now it's much better. You see?
Okay. Yeah, I see.
I was just seeing half of your face sometimes.
Okay, it was in the dark.
Almost in the dark. Yeah. So you were between the dark and the light. No, you need to be in the light. Okay, much better. You got it
Good.
exactly on frame. So and just Camila, you saw your comment. Yes, it's a good idea. Maybe the camera will help me to monitor the cows of my neighbor, to see if they're going to bite or eat the sundial or not.
Yeah, you were in danger.
Yes, actually, I forgot to mention that in the other video. Yeah, it was on
Maybe
it was on Sunday. It was the last day.
and maybe she was going to be your second witness. The cow.
Yeah, something crossed my mind, but not to mention.
Okay.
Yeah, on Sunday when I was reading the last day of the tracking the luminaries, I went for lunch, and after lunch I was going to continue tracking, and suddenly, I just was, I don't know, I was walking by, not paying attention. Suddenly I'm going very close to the sundial, and just lift up my head and look into the trees in front of me, and I saw this big animal, a black one. It was a cow.
Yeah, and it was the first black one that we saw.
It was the first black one that I see. Actually, it's our neighbor's cows. He has a black one. It was from my neighbor. He usually has red ones, and I think he only have one black or two blacks. I don't remember. And we the previous day, I didn't mention this to you. The previous days I was listening to some noise, and I knew it was an animal in the bushes and in the trees, beside the B'YaHuWaH. I don't remember how to say it in English. And I thought it was a horse. And on Sunday I just saw, and this animal was eating the grass. She was very happy. I didn't know it was a bull or a cow, so I'm just taking a look. Because it was a bull, I was going to be running away, most probably. So I had to lead her to out of the property, just to start measuring the sundial. It was an interesting experience, because I spent a lot of time trying to get rid of it. Anyway, those are the animals. Okay, let's focus on the portion, but let's begin as we always do. Let's listen to the song, and it's a beautiful one, because it's basically it's what we need to do every day. It's what we need to do every moment. Is to come back. Is to turn back. Is to turn back to Yahuwah. And actually, let me show this one. Just give me a second. Maybe you can share something while I'm looking into this.
Well, I'm going to share something that caught my attention, that you were mentioning about the kids in the beginning. That when I was little, I remember that I was reading this in the church that I used to go, and it was saying about Mashiach, when he was saying, "Wow, of you who are going to cause these little children to cause him harm." And I was a children by that time, and I was listening to the person who was speaking, and I was thinking, how come somebody could do something wrong to any children? And in my imagination, I couldn't comprehend that. And it was for a long period of time that maybe our life was more innocent. And since I was also going to the church with family and everything, it was a completely different church. But in my head, I couldn't conceive that somebody wants to do harm to the children. But now our world is showing us how this is something that is happening in very different kind of levels. And now I realize that maybe Yahushua, who was saying, is be careful about that time, because it's going to happen someday. At that time I was children and I couldn't conceive that. But now I'm an adult, and I'm so worried, even though I don't have children on my own, but I can have children around me. And also I can have friends that they have children. I'm so horrified about all these kind of things. that our prayers need to be in that direction every day, that they can be protected, and not also that as parents, our aunts, friends, I don't know, any kind of contact that we can have, is try always to be very attentive to any symptoms, to any, I don't know, change of their behavior. Try to help them, to connect them to the real world, not to this fake world about the I don't know, this fake world about technologies and things like that, because that is also opening a door that you can have, and they can have some people trying to do some harm over them, and we don't even imagine what kind of danger they can be exposed. So sorry about all the grammar mistakes and things like that. It's not my good day for talking today.
No, but it's good. It's good work.
I
It's
think that
connected to what we said.
that you are going to get the idea. We have to be very cautious on that.
You know, and I think it's relevant to what I'm going to share. And as I told you, we didn't have the chance to prepare this portion properly.
Yeah.
So we are just allowing the Ruach to flow, and just the Ruach put in my mind something we saw the other day. And it's connected to babies. It's connected to children. And in the same way that we need to protect the children, or one of the reasons we need to, one of many reasons why we need to protect the children, is because Yahuwah is using babies.
Yeah.
And you know, when we saw this video, we were so blown away that it's connected to the song that I will share with you also. So let me put this video here and put attention. The quality of the video is not good.
But it's the only one.
The only one available. And there is subtitles of what he's saying, the baby's saying. It's a baby speaking. It's a Jewish baby.
Yeah.
So he's speaking Hebrew.
Yeah.
And there are few words that you will understand. All of us that we have been learning a little bit of Hebrew, we will understand what he's saying. But also just put attention on the subtitles. Is going to be much easier for you to get the message. So here we go.
אני רוצה לחזור בתשובה.
מה?
אני רוצה לחזור בתשובה.
מה זאת אומרת?
זאת אומרת לחזור בתשובה זה אומר להיות רגוע.
מי אמר לך את זה?
אלוהים. הוא אמר לי שם למעלה. אני רוצה לחזור בתשובה.
מה?
אני רוצה לחזור בתשובה.
מה זאת אומרת?
זאת אומרת לחזור בתשובה זה אומר להיות רגוע.
מי אמר לך את זה?
אלוהים. הוא אמר לי שם למעלה.
הראה לי את הדרך לשוב אליך, גם אם קשה תהיה, לשוב להיות בזרועותיך. הדרך בסופה אחיה, אז אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי אשוב אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי בקרבי, אתה שם איתי. רבות הדרכים אותה ניסיתי, וכולן הלכתי טועה. רבים הקולות להם הקשבתי, אך כל אחד בי בוער. אז אשוב אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי בקרבי. אז אשוב אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי בקרבי, אתה שם איתי, אתה שם איתי. אז אשוב אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי בקרבי. אז אשוב אשוב אתן לך את חיי, כל פינה שבליבי את נפשי, שם אתה לי בקרבי, אתה שם איתי, אתה שם איתי.
Let's close our eyes and let's pray together. B'YaHuWaH, Elohim Sebaot, we want to give thanks to you in this moment because of your presence among us, because you are the one touching our hearts with your love, your compassion, and with your truth. With a humble heart, B'YaHuWaH, we lift up our voices to you in prayers. First of all, to acknowledge that you are the only true Elohim. To acknowledge that we belong to you, B'YaHuWaH. That you are the source of everything. You are the source of our life. You are the one sustaining our life day after day. And we are nothing because you are the one giving us fullness of life. B'YaHuWaH Elohim, we want to give thanks to you, because once again you are giving us the opportunity to be here, to seek your face, to spend this time in Shabbat together in unity, with our heart seeking you, seeking your truth, with the desire to know you better and to know about your kingdom. Yahuwah, thank you because you are the one guiding us through your Ruach in everything we do, in everything we say. It's just a matter for us to be so connected with you, to be conscious on how you act through your Ruach in us. And we pray to you in this moment that you can open our eyes, open our ears, and open our understanding in order to know you, in order to be able to see and hear your words in the same way that you opened the eyes of your servants in the past in order to see your glory. We pray to you, and we ask you, Father, that you can open our eyes to see your glory. And we know that your kabod is here among us no matter the distance. And we know that your mighty kabod is coming upon this earth with your son Yahushua coming to establish your kingdom, to rule the world and the earth, your entire creation. Thank you, Abba, for reminding us. It's so beautiful to see how you do things, Abba, to remind us the importance to come back to you, to remind us that the only way of life is being with you, walking in your way, following our Mashiach, Yahushua. Oh Yahuwah, you know us better than we know each other. We know ourselves. And you know what are our needs. There are so many needs. People, your children that are in need of healing, restoration of hearts. We ask you, Abba, that you can touch your people in these times, so we can lift up our heads, O Yahuwah, and do the service you have called upon us to do in these times. Yahuwah, there are so many that we're missing. We pray in this moment for Amy. You know where she is. You know what are her needs. We ask you, Abba, you can touch her with your mighty hand and provide to her needs. We pray, Abba, for the little ones, for the children that are under attack in these times. You know, the evil forces and the evil spirits are doing so many things in these times, oh Yahuwah, and attacking those little ones that are so beautiful and precious to your eyes. There is something in our hands that we can do in order to protect them. Guide us, Abba, to do it. That we can speak up when we see something that is not good. That we can speak up when we see unrighteousness, knowing that you are with us and we have nothing to fear. Acting in order to protect those in need, knowing that you are the one fighting for us the battle. Oh Yahweh, we need you so much in these times. And we need of your Ruach to guide us in your righteousness in order to see manifested through our lives your signs and wonders, with the only purpose to guide people to your truth and to your light, into your kingdom. Make us remember, Abba, the purpose of our lives in every moment. That is to take people from darkness to your light. And we know that you are the one doing it, but you are acting through your servants, through us. So make us remember, Abba, why you have called us. You have made us fisher of men. So send us to fish, Abba, and to bring more people into your kingdom. Guide us, O Yahweh, in everything we will do in this time. Put your words in our hearts so we can grow together in understanding and in knowledge of your truth. Guide us as you are doing it always, and teach us of your ways. B'YaHuWaH Sebaot, we love you with all our hearts, and we pray to you in this moment, in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. Dale. Okay. Lillian is not leaving, she's just going to wash her face. So, it's so beautiful when we feel this strong connection, with small things. Yahuwah is touching our hearts. It's so beautiful, and thanks to him that he put in my heart to share this video with you. Because now that I remember what I read from this portion, somehow everything is connected to do Teshuvah, is to come back to his ways. And we didn't prepare anything. He just put in our hearts all of this, the song, this message from this baby that Elohim told him to do Teshuvah. And the portion somehow is connected to do Teshuvah, to trust in him. This is something that only he is orchestrating. And that's why, we need to allow this manifestation of his presence through our emotions, because that's the way he is doing it. We need to allow the manifestation of his presence through our body, through our spirit, through our emotions to flow. And if we find ourselves in need and in this strong feeling that we want to cry, that we want to cry out, that we want to shout, we need to do it, because that's the way that he's manifesting and setting us free from any inner bondage. Because, as the word says, when the Ruach will manifest himself in us, we will feel those like rivers of living water coming from our inner being, from our belly. And it's going to flow and flow through our entire body, and we are going to feel it. So every time that we are praying and listening to the message from Elohim, we need to do it with all the intensity of our hearts, allowing the Ruach to manifest through every sense, every cell, and every emotion of our life. So let's move on. I want to share with you this the screen, and we will go directly to the portion. And we will begin with the chapter 18, verse 1, and we will see what's the story of Hizkiyahu. And it says the following, beginning in verse 1. And it came to be in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Hizkiah, son of Ahaz, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abi, daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father did. So what he did Teshuvah. It's exactly what we were, what the Ruach put in our hearts from the very beginning of this broadcast. He did Teshuvah. He took away what it means to do Teshuvah. He did it in practical terms, not only from the heart. Everything began internally. A decision, an attitude. The matter of the heart we have been speaking in the past. But it's not going to be completed if we don't do it externally. We can believe it, but not acting according to what believe.
It was like the difference between the previous king. They were doing some good stuff, but always something was missing. And this is the first one that is compared with David. So that's something. And this is the
so that's the difference. It's exactly as we know faith, belief, emunah works. It's not only about something invisible. It begins on something invisible. Everything begins in something invisible. Even in how this body works, even what's the meaning of the word itself begins in something that we don't see. but it doesn't mean that doesn't exist. It begins in something intangible, something invisible, but needs to be completed with something visible, with an action. We need to speak about that more. So what he did differently to the other kings is exactly that. He believed and he did. And sometimes we don't do. And that's the part that we need to learn. So what he did is exactly what is written in the verse 4. He took away the high places and broke the pillars and cut down the Asherah and broke in pieces the copper or bronze serpent which Moshe had made. For until those days the children of Israel burned incense to it and called it Nehushan.
They started to do idolatry with things that they were not called to do.
But you know, this is so interesting because it means, from my point of view, is that even set apart things that comes from Yahuwah, we can transform them and to commit idolatry with those things. When we forget the creator and the maker of those things. You know, when we talk about, it is written in the book of Devarim, is that it's talking about the idolatry. It's talking about the nations. Yahweh is talking through Moshe about the idolatry and the nations. It's talking about the people of the nations that they bow down to the luminaries, to the sun, to the moon, to the stars. There are so many religions of the world today, even in today's world. India, for example, they worship cows. Now that we're talking about cows. And they totally forget, and let me give another example. You know, it's in the mouth of everyone in these days for many years about Mother Earth. It's a kind of worship of Mother Earth because we need to do everything because of Mother Earth. And they totally miss the point about the creator of all those things.
They took him out of the picture.
So Yahuwah, the maker of everything, he did the luminary systems, the sun, moon, stars. Yahuwah created all the living beings on the world like cows. Yahuwah, created the earth. And those things that were set apart from Yahuwah, we have transformed. And we, people, not we precisely, but people, humanity has begun to commit idolatry with those things that even Yahuwah has created. You know, I can imagine a little bit how he feels. You know, I have done these things, and you are worshiping those things that I have created and not worshiping me.
It's like he's not invited anymore. Like he's being left out somehow.
So when he's saying that you need to do teshuvah, you need to come back, he's exactly saying that. Open your eyes, open your ears, understand. I have done all of this. So instead of worshiping those things, you need to worship me. You need to believe in me. You need to love me. So, well, we see this example and we need to be so careful because this is sin acting on the flesh. That sometimes maybe we are not realizing that things that Yahuwah has given us, we are worshiping those things instead of worshiping Him. And since this could be a condition of the heart, that's why we need to analyze ourselves moment after moment, time after time, to confirm that this place here is only for Him and not for something else, not even for those things that He has created. So it says he put his trust in Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, and after him was none like him among all the sovereigns of Yehudah, nor who were before him. And he clung to Yahuwah. He did not turn away from following him, but guarded his commands, which Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. So I think this is a perfect summary, a perfect description. It's like a job description. You know? We are looking for servants of Yahuwah. This is the job description. Here you have the job description in just 3 verses. Is to remove idolatry, is to put our trust in Yahuwah, is to cling to Yahuwah, not turning away from Him, to guard His commandments. What commandments? Easy peasy here. Those are the ones given through Moshe. Okay? And Yahuwah was with him. Wherever he went, he acted wisely. And he rebelled against the sovereign of Ashur and did not serve him. So, and this is something that we will go in more details most probably in the next verses. But it's interesting that in this case, it says that Yahuwah was with him and he acted wisely. Why? Because most probably he was being guided by the Ruach of Elohim. And because of that guidance, he rebelled against the king of Ashur. Okay? It says he struck the Philistines as far as Asa, that is currently Gaza, and its borders from Watchtower unto the walled city. And it came to be in the 4th year of sovereign Hiskiyahu, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Shalmaneser, sovereign of Ashur, came up against Shomeron and besieged it. And they captured it at the end of 3 years. In the 6th year of Hiskiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, sovereign of Israel, Shomeron was captured. And this is exactly what we were reading last week.
Yeah.
What happened, how the 10 tribes were removed from the land of Israel and were moved to the land of Ashur, and then they were dispersed through the nations. It says the verse 11, and sovereign of Ashur exiled Israel to Ashur and placed them in Halach and Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. And I just remembered that I didn't see Jimmy and Marisabel, so we need to keep them in our prayers too, okay? I don't know why this crossed my mind. Because they did not obey the voice of Yahuwah their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, all that Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, had commanded, and they did not obey nor do them. It's exactly the same, obey and do. And it's interesting that it's mentioning both things in the same phrase when it's talking about Israel and the reason why they were removed from the land. And in the 14th year of sovereign Hiskiyahu, Sanherib, sovereign of Ashur, came up against all the walled cities of Yehudah and captured them. And Hiskiah, sovereign of Yehudah, sent to the sovereign of Ashur and Lachish, saying, I have done wrong, turn away from me. I shall bear whatever you impose on me. And the sovereign of Ashur imposed upon Hiskiah, the sovereign of Yehudah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And here we will see a few verses that is talking about how Hiskiyahu decided to somehow serve Ashur. Quotation mark serve, because the way that is being described here is that because of fear, he decided to say, okay, I'm going to give you my taxes, basically. You are going to impose a tax over me. I'm going to give you the taxes you're asking from me, but go away.
But that's why it's kind of contradiction with the...
I don't know if it's contradiction, but it's for me at least, it's difficult to understand when we see that it is written over there that he follows the step of David.
Because if he said, I have done wrong, maybe it was something that if it was with the heart of David and it was compared with David, maybe at one point he got a revelation that maybe he needs to do it. I don't know, that's the explanation that I got.
It could be. If you have any comment about what these specific actions of Hiskiah, put your comment in the chat, because for us it's an open question that it requires more study to understand and to find more witnesses about why he decided to do.
And he's recognizing that his previous behavior was not okay, was not right. So.
Yes. So let's continue. And Hiskiah gave him all the silvers that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasuries of the sovereign's house. At that time, Hiskiah cut off the doors of the Hechal of Yahuwah and the doorposts which Hiskiah, sovereign of Yehuda, had overlaid and gave it to the sovereign of Ashur. And the sovereign of Ashur sent the Tartan and the Rabsaris and the Rabshakeh from Lachish with a great army against Jerusalem to sovereign Hiskiyahu. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they had come up, they came and stood by the channel of the upper pool, which was on the highway to the launderer's field. And they called to the sovereign, and Eliakim son of Hilkiyahu, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Yoach son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to them. And the Rabshakeh said to them, Please say to Hiskiyahu, Thus said the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur, what is this trust in which you have trusted? You know, I'm gonna stop there because I want to share what I found in the book of Second Chronicles before going into that to that part of the story. Because what is written here, it gives us more understanding of what it means to follow the ways of Yahuwah, what it means that Hiskiyahu follow the way of Yahuwah, like David did. It is written in the book of Second Chronicles, chapter 29. We are not going to read it completely, but I will try to highlight a few things. But let's read the first few verses. It says, Hiskiyahu began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father David did. In the first year of his reign, in the first month, he opened the doors of the house of Yahuwah and repaired them, and brought in the priests and the Levites, and gathered them in the open place to the east. And he said to them, Listen to me, O Levites. Now set yourselves apart, and set apart the house of Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers, and remove the uncleanness from the set apart place. For our fathers have trespassed, and have done evil in the eyes of Yahuwah our Elohim, and have forsaken him, and have turned their faces away from the dwelling place of Yahuwah, and have given their backs. And they have shut the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and they have not burned incense, or offered ascending offerings in the set-apart place to the Elohim of Israel. Therefore the wrath of Yahuwah fell upon Yehuda and Jerusalem, and he has given them up for a trembling, for an astonishment, and for a high sin, and as you see with your eyes. And see, because of this our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in my heart to make a covenant with Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, so that the heat of his wrath turn away from us. My sons, do not be slack, for Yahuwah has chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and to be attendants for him and burn incense. So it is written how he was restoring
something
the service in the temple. You know, it says, and they began to set apart on the first day, in the verse 17, of the first month. And on the 8th day of the month, they came to the porch of Yahuwah, and they set apart the house of Yahuwah in 8 days. And on the 16th day of the first month, they have finished.
Which day are we right now? Of the first month?
Of the first month?
No?
Good question. I need to take a look in the calendar. It's around that. Okay. So we have cleansed all the house of Yahuwah and the slaughter place of sending offerings with all the utensils and the table of the showbread. So they were doing in the first month. They were cleansing the house in the first month. They were doing it even until the 16th. So it means that they were doing it after Pesach, during the Matzot. It's a kind of cleansing combined with the purpose of Matzot is cleansing. So it says that he was, gathered the heads of the city and went up to the house of Yahuwah. It was a kind of rededication of the house, what they were doing. Again, I'm not going to read it completely, but you can do it after this study, because it's interesting to see how he was restoring everything.
Could it be that the things that he took from that place, it was because he was going to do with this like renewal or rededication of the place, and maybe he was taking some things that were kind of
It
polluted
could be.
and was taking it out.
Maybe
And
that's a good
using-
way to see it. Yes. So here in the verse 30 it says, "And Hizkiyahu sent to all Israel and Yehuda, and he also wrote letters to Ephraim and Menashe to come to the house of Yahuwah, Jerusalem, to perform the Pesach to Yahuwah Elohim of Israel. But the sovereign and his leaders and all the assembly in Jerusalem had taken counsel to perform the Pesach in the second month.
Yeah, because they were
They
already
were cleansing in the
yeah.
first one and
So-
dedicating the house. And they said, for they were unable to perform it at these times because not enough priests had set themselves apart and the people had not gathered at Jerusalem. So here it is written everything they did, how a great Pesach they did, and even they celebrated Matzot in the second month because of they have a fullness of the presence and the love for Yahuwah in their hearts. Even the priests were blessing the people during this time. And if I'm not wrong, you know, it was so strong, something similar to what happened to us at the beginning of this video and the prayers, because they were feeling his presence so strongly that it says, and at the completion of all this, all Israel who were present went out to the cities of Yehuda and broke down the pillars and cut down the Sherim and tore down the high places and the slaughter places from all Yehuda and Benjamin and Ephraim and Menashe even to completion. Then all the children of Israel returned to their own cities, each to his own possession. So, you know, just to complete the picture, go and read chapter 29, chapter 30, and chapter 31 of the book of 2 Chronicles to understand what it means to do Teshuvah, to turn back, to follow the step of David in the same way that David loved Yahuwah. We will see what it means to love him in that way. And if David was loving Yahuwah and Hizkiyahu, it says that he followed the step of David. You know, there was another one, another descendant, another seed of David many years after that it is not written exactly, but there's no doubt that he loved and he followed Yahuwah as David, his forefather, did. And you know what I'm talking, who I'm talking about. This is Yahushua HaMashiach, and he's the one that is leading us on the way, and we need to follow his steps. And most probably, not most probably, it's certainty. It's a certainty that if Hizkiyahu was a great one, following the step of David, Yahushua was the greatest of the greatest. So he is setting us the example of what we have to do. So let's continue in the verse 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 17. 18. So the sovereign of Ashur sent
His messenger. It was
his messengers.
The cupbearer. That
Exactly.
means the name of the messenger.
in order to threaten Hizkiyahu at the children of Yehuda, the southern kingdom. You know, it is written, and we just saw that he captured some of the cities of Yehuda. But it's important that you remember that he was unable to capture the main city, the capital city, Jerusalem. And this is exactly what he's trying to do now. So let's continue reading. And they called to the sovereign, and Eliakim, son of Hilkiyahu, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joach, son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to them. And Rabshakeh said to them, please say to Hizkiyahu, thus said the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur, or Assyria, what is this trust in which you have trusted? You have spoken of having counsel and strength for battle, but they are only words of the lips. And in whom do you trust that you rebel against me? Now look, you have put your trust in the staff of this crushed reed, Mizraim, Egypt, on which if a man leans, it shall go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, to all who trust in him. So he believed that he was trusting in another man.
Yeah.
Okay? And specifically in Pharaoh. But when you say to me, we trust in Yahuwah, our Elohim, Is it not he whose high places and whose slaughter places B'YaHuWaH has taken away, and said to Yehuda and Jerusalem, bow yourselves before the slaughter place in Jerusalem? So he was having a kind of confusion, right?
Yeah, maybe it was what he was thinking that B'YaHuWaH was doing. And I don't know why. Maybe it's like when now they said, okay, you are the one who are haters because you are hating all these people. I don't know. And it's not that. It's because now the definition of things are being changed.
Yeah.
So
Jesus loved everyone.
yeah. So to the eyes of the common people, we are going to be the people who hate at the end.
Exactly.
So
You are not accepting me as I am.
Yeah.
Jesus loves me.
yeah. So it's the incomplete message. Is
Yes,
to
for
have
sure he loves us.
Mm.
For sure Mashiach loves us. That's why he gave his own life, but with the purpose and the intention that we should not continue falling on the same mistakes, because basically we are stepping on his offering
Yeah. If we do that.
if we continue doing and living in the way that we used to live in the past. We need to transform our way of thinking and our way of life in order to live according to his example and the pattern of life of the kingdom of Yahuwah, that the king is Yahushua HaMashiach. So for sure he's going to love us and he's going to invite us to his kingdom, but if we don't have the right clothes, we are not gonna allow to be in, to get in. Okay, so let's continue. And now 23. I urge you, give a pledge to my master, the sovereign of Ashur. Then I give you 2,000 horses, if you are able to put riders on them. And how do you turn back the face of one commander of the least of my master's servants, and trust in Mizraim for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without Yahuwah against this place to destroy it? Yahuwah said to me, go up against this land, and you shall destroy it. So even they were speaking in the name of Yahuwah, saying that, okay, Yahuwah was the one sending me here. So then said Eliakim, son of B'YaHuWaH, and Shebna and Yoach to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Yehuda, in the ears of the people on the wall. And you know, this is a totally separate, totally different topic. But mostly everyone believed that Yahushua spoke Aramaic. Right?
Yeah, that's common knowledge.
That's the common knowledge, common understanding that the disciples and Yahushua himself spoke Aramaic. And most probably he did.
Like
Because
it's
it was a
maybe like
common-
a second language.
It was a common language. But what people don't realize, and sometimes they don't believe, is that he was speaking Hebrew. Why I'm mentioning this? Because here we see clearly that Aramaic was the language of Ashur.
Sure.
It wasn't the language of Yehuda.
Yehuda.
And Yahushua was coming from Yehuda. What was the language of Yehuda? Hebrew. So even here, the servants of B'YaHuWaH, they were able to speak Aramaic because they were educated. So Yahushua, most probably he spoke Aramaic, but his mother tongue was Hebrew, the language of Yehuda. He was not going to use the language of a nation that wanted to destroy Jerusalem and Yehuda, that there are so many prophecies against Ashur, though there is an interesting prophecy that we were speaking in the past that is being called a son to the Mizraim and Israel. But that's another topic as well. But it's important to take note of this thing. You know, Hebrew was the language of Yehuda, meaning that was the language of Mashiach.
Yeah, and I think that he was using the language according to the audiences. For
Yep.
instance, when he was speaking with people who was from Mizraim, he was living in Mizraim when he was a child.
Yes.
So I think that he has, and he knows all the languages.
Like
so,
Joseph, according to
yeah.
the book of Yashar,
Yeah.
he was able to speak the 70
yeah,
languages.
and like Shaul, when he said that he was even speaking Latin, I don't know, different language. They are going to use it according to
Absolutely.
Genesis.
So it says, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Yehuda, in the ears of the people on the wall. And the Rav Shakeh said to them, has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men sitting on the wall to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? And the Rav Shakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the language of Yehuda, and spoke and said, hear the word of the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur. And I'm just speaking louder to
Yeah.
make it more dramatic.
Okay, I didn't understand.
That's why. Because it's with an exclamation mark, so
Okay,
that's why.
okay.
That said the sovereign, do not let B'YaHuWaH deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you out of his hand. So, let me read the next one. And do not let B'YaHuWaH make you trust in Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah shall certainly deliver us, and the city is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Ashur. This still happening.
Yeah. Still,
People
yeah.
that will come speaking the same language to us.
How you believe that you are going to be held by an Elohim that you are not seeing?
Correct.
How you still believe in? Yeah.
People-
Do we still believe?
People that will come saying, don't believe in Yahushua.
Yeah.
Don't believe in Yahuwah. Why you're calling him that name? Put your trust in me. You need to go to the doctor. Sometimes I'm not saying that you should not go,
Yeah.
but the point is that you need to go to Yahuwah first, and he
Yeah.
needs
And
to guide
he's
you
going to
what to
tell
do.
you what to do. Yeah.
And that should be the norm for everything in our lives. Any decision, every decision, we go first to Yahuwah
And he is going
to receive guidance on what we have to do. And this is exactly what B'YaHuWaH did after this, and we'll see it. So, this is the way, these are the strategies of the enemy, that he's going to use people speaking in the same language. And when I'm saying speaking the same language, I'm not talking about idioms, though it could be one of the options. I'm talking specifically that people that will talk to our hearts.
And maybe with the same belief sometimes.
It's like the cells, we were reading the other day. It's like words that are going to resonate within ourselves and words that are going to get in our hearts. So those we are going to get, and the enemy will use as a strategy, people that will speak the same words that we love and we understand, words that are going to resonate in our hearts. But they will come with lies and with distrust in order to mix, exactly. That we see all over the place in the scriptures. The wolves dress like a
Like
sheep. False teachers, false prophets. We see all over the place in the book of the prophets talking about that. We see in the Brit Hadashah, the disciples talking about that. The false teacher will come. And they were tinkling the ear with sweet words that will resonate. And they are going to confuse many.
Yeah.
And that has been happening all over the years of history. So, and I think today is happening even worse. It's exactly the examples we were talking before. Jesus love you.
It's the mixture that they have. And that's the plan or the strategy of the enemy. He always mixes the truth with lies. So people can sometimes be caught by the truth, but they are receiving the lies hidden.
Okay, so, and it's not only to discourage us, it's to discourage everyone around us.
Yeah.
And why this is also a strategy? Because maybe we are going to be standing firm on where we are in what we believe, but the people around us are going to be discouraged, and then they are going to be the one pushing us.
Yeah.
And when that happens in our inner circle, it's becoming even more difficult for us to stand. Because when it's coming from outside, okay, we can be strong, but when it's coming from inside, it's touching our emotions, our feelings, and it's going to be much difficult to stay strong. So that's why when we're talking about protection of the children, this is one of the reasons as well. This is exactly what the enemy is doing now. They're not attacking us directly. They're attacking the children, those in the walls, those that are listening. Maybe those are unprotected. They're going to listen to the words, they're going to believe, they're going to be led astray, and then they're going to be the one pushing us in order to not to continue in the path. This is exactly what Yahushua was speaking about, that those under the same roof are going to be delivering themselves one to the other. So, and this is exactly, the way that the enemy has been preparing the ground, and now he's doing it even with more strength.
It happened in Yahushua's family. So it was his own brothers who were always tempting him and attacking him.
So it continues in the verse 31. Do not listen to Hiskiyahu, for thus said the sovereign of Ashur, make peace with me by a present, and come out to me. And let each of you eat from his own vine, and each from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, and live and not die. But do not listen to Hiskiyahu when he misleads you, saying, Yahuwah shall deliver us. Kaseni.
No, I think these are like the words of the anti-Mashiach, who is going to be shown that everybody can trust in him, that he's the one who is going to deliver.
I think, he's putting himself in the place of Yahuwah. It's exactly the same promises that Yahuwah gave to Israel. I'm going to take you to a land of flowing milk and honey. The promises that we see all over the place in the book of the prophets as well. Each one of you are going to see it under his own vine and his own fig tree.
So it's quoting the same.
It's quoting exactly the same things. And I'm going to take you from this land that where you are dying, I'm going to put you in a land, a beautiful land, and you are going to forget all the sorrows over there, and you are going to have a happy life. What was the statement of the web? It was own nothing and be happy.
We are going to provide everything that you need.
It's exactly the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same message. It's the same strategy that was used this many thousand years ago, is being used today, has been used throughout history, and is being used today even more.
Maybe it's not going to be one person, and it's going to be a system.
And this is a system.
This is
Ashur was a kingdom. It was an empire. It was one of the big empires of that time. And this is interesting when we talk about the mystery Babylon and the system of the beast and so on, to keep this in mind, that it was an empire, Ashur. So it's exactly the same that we see now. It's a kind of empire that has been created. It's the system of the beast. So it's coming with the same message. Don't worry. Don't listen to those crazy guys that are still believing in a book that is being written so many years ago, and there is just pure lies. When you have seen all those miracles happening over there, and you are going to continue believing on what these guys are telling you, they're just preachers of hate. Hate preachers. So listen to me. I'm going to give you the promises. You are going to own nothing and be happy. You don't need to be worried about it. I'm going to take care of you.
All your needs.
All your needs are going to be on me. So you don't need to eat real meat. I'm going to provide you something even better that is going to be much tasty, and it's going to provide you the more nutrients than the natural thing. Forget about the natural
With
things.
this,
You
you
are
can
destroying
live
the
longer. You can live forever.
yes, you're destroying the air. If you continue eating these natural things, I'm gonna create and I'm going to provide you with something even more good, and you are going to contribute to the climate change, to avoid climate change and the destruction of the earth. And just paraphrasing and mocking a bit, but this the message in the bottom line is exactly the same. Don't trust in Yahuwah. I'm going to save you. Instead of believing that Yahuwah has established a savior already. That's Yahushua, the savior, and he's coming back soon in order to put things in the right order. So it says, has any of the mighty ones of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the sovereign of Ashur? It's just planting seed of doubts. So making people to think. That's why it's so important what we hear, what we listen to, what we allow, what words we allow to go in. Because those are the arrows that will go directly to our hearts, and if we are unprotected, they are going to stay there, and it's going to create, from that seed will create a plant that will grow.
And it's going to take the oxygen or to the place of the right thing that
Absolutely.
should be there.
Where are the mighty ones of Hamad and Arpad? Where are the mighty ones of Sepharwayim and Hena and Iwa? Did they deliver Shomeron from my hand? I am the powerful one, he's saying. Nobody is greater than me. Who among all the mighty ones of the lands have delivered their land out of my hand? That Yahuwah should deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent and did not answer him a word. For the commands of the sovereign was, do not answer him. And Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joach, son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hizkiyahu with their garments torn, and they reported to him the words of the Rabshakeh. You know what I would do in that place? Something that would be really interesting, to avoid the people listening to those words, those arrows. To put the Levites singing, playing instruments close to the wall. So these people were going to be shouting and shouting, but the people were going to listen to the music of worship to Yahuwah.
But when you were reading this verse, the 36, and it says, and they did not answer him a word, because the command of the sovereign was, do not answer him. It was, I don't know why, but it was like a kind of reminder when Yahushua was telling, if your enemy wanted to give a slam on your cheek, I don't know how to say it, strike your cheek, you offer the other one, but you are not going to say anything. If he asks you the clothes, give him also the robe. If he is going to attack you, you ask for a blessing for him. So it was kind of not doing and saying a word, because that person is going to concentrate at the end all the heaps that it was saying, that it was going to be fire over their heads at the end. So we don't have to give that fight, because it's not from us to give that kind of fight just to create more fight. It's like I don't know, I was thinking about that.
Okay.
There are moments to be silent when the king is saying that.
Absolutely, and there's moment that we need to speak up when we see unrighteousness happening. In this case, they were obedient
they were
to the instruction of the king,
and
what to say and what not to say. So that's why we need to be obedient to our king, to Yahushua. He will guide us through the ruach on when we need to speak and when we need to remain silent. But in today's world, I do believe that most of the time we need to start speaking up, because of silence. We are allowing all of this to happen. And how to protect those around us is speaking up in our homes, and also outside when things and we are being moved because we see unrighteousness happening. That's the way to wake up people as well. So let's go to chapter 19.
Okay. And it came to be when sovereign Hiskiyahu heard it, that he tore his garments and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of Yahuwah, and sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covering themselves with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu the prophet, son of Amoz. And yes, this is the same. Yeshayahu is going to be our next book.
It's going to be next book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeshayahu.
Somebody asked us to do Yeshayahu. It was Christine, I think, right?
Yeah.
She wanted us to do Yeshayahu.
Yeah.
So
And
now it's coming.
yeah, the name means Yeshayahu Yah has saved. And being son of Amoz is son of strong. Amoz means strong. And yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So let me let me just comment on something that Karen said and now Camila.
Yeah.
Karen said here in the comment, the adversary loves to trigger us to react only to twist and use it against us. And that's true. You know, one thing is to be being driven by emotions. And other thing is to be driven by the Ruach using our emotions.
Yeah.
Okay? So let me put an example. An example of because it's sometimes difficult to understand. I think Karen is absolutely right. When we hear something, we can be triggered because of we have already a pattern, a habit to be triggered. And that's why, we have the instruction in the word that we need to be patient. We need to be slow to anger.
And not to bring
Correct.
things from the past
Correct.
to the present.
So
because there
we
is
need to be patient. We need to be meek and listening all the time, even if there's somebody's attacking us, and listening for the guidance of the Ruach on what to do. So if we react immediately, it's because we're driven by emotions instead of being driven by the Ruach. So what I said about driven by the Ruach to act through our emotions, what an example I can give you is, I think is David and Shaul. We study about this in the past. And that's a perfect example, Karen, what you are bringing in the chat as well. When it is written that the king Shaul, Saul, and David, that the Ruach came upon them, and before they went to battle, and they were they were with a lot of wrath in order to bring justice of what was happening. So anger, it could be something very bad if we're acting in anger. We need to be strong, and sometimes when we are angry, we are strong. Okay, so in this case was the Ruach coming upon them and using their emotions because of the Ruach driving them in order to be prepared with the strength to bring justice and righteousness. The example that Karen is showing here is a beautiful one. When Yahushua was providing healing, the first thing that he was allowing the Ruach to manifest in him was compassion. And actually, we were talking with Lillian the other day that we were seeing some videos of healing from servants from the past. And we saw people that were seeking for healing, and both of us were feeling compassion when we saw some of them. It was something like this. And we have been talking and study about this topic for a while already. And that's a way to allow the Ruach to be manifested in us through compassion. So we need to understand, and this is a perfect way to do it. Hiskiyahu instructed the people to remain silent. Why? Is to be patient, to be waiting and seeking the guidance of Yahuwah.
Yeah, because he was not yet receiving. And now we are going to see that he is going to receive what to do.
And the comment from Camila, I can't stop thinking about the little child video that Juan Carlos played. And that's true, because that's the way that the Ruach is moving us and what to do. Again, is the manifestation of the Ruach using our emotions to remember. I heard another person saying that sometimes when we read a book, we can forget the words almost immediately. The other day, we're not going to remember everything. But when we read and there is an emotion involved, those are going to be stored as a memory that we are not going to be able to forget. So the Ruach is working in the same way. That's why when I was telling you that we need to allow the Ruach to manifest himself through us, through our emotions, and to let it flow, is exactly that. Because when we allow compassion, when we allow the fruits of the Ruach, that somehow, if you do the analysis and the parallel, are so connected to the emotions that B'YaHuWaH has given us as part of his creation, he is going to manifest himself in a powerful way. So, but once again, to repeat myself because it's important, the difference between reacting driven by emotions, that is basically acting in the flesh, versus acting driven by the Ruach, who is going to manifest himself through our emotions and later on through our actions. Okay, that's a huge but important difference. Go ahead.
Verse 3, and they said to him, Thus said B'YaHuWaH, this day is a day of distress, and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no power to bring forth. It could be that B'YaHuWaH, your Elohim, does hear all the words of the Rabshakeh, is the chief cupbearer, whom his master, the sovereign of Ashur, has sent to reproach the living Elohim, and shall rebuke the words which B'YaHuWaH your Elohim has heard. Therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. And the servants of sovereign B'YaHuWaH came to Yeshayahu, and Yeshayahu said to them, Say this to your master. Thus said B'YaHuWaH, do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the sovereign of Ashur have reviled me.
Reviled.
Okay. See, I am putting a spirit upon him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land, and I shall cause him to fall by the sword in his land.
And this is so interesting, connected to what we have been studying lately, is that, he will use the spiritual realm in order to put words within him, that he will hear something and he will return. So this is so interesting that even words, what we hear, the origin of it, the source could be spiritual.
Yeah. If you can move this.
Yes, sorry.
And the Rabshakeh returned and found the sovereign of Ashur fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And when the sovereign heard concerning Tirhakah, sovereign of Cush, see, he has come out to fight against you, he again sent messenger to B'YaHuWaH, saying, Speak to B'YaHuWaH, sovereign of Yehudah, saying, Do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Ashur. See, you have heard that the sovereigns of Ashur have done to all lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the mighty ones of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed? Gozan and Haran and Retseph and the son of Eden, who were in Telasar? Where is the sovereign of Hamath, and the sovereign of Arpad, and the sovereign of the city of Sherpawaim, Hena, and Iwa? And B'YaHuWaH received the letters from the hand of the messengers, and read them, and went up to the house of B'YaHuWaH, and B'YaHuWaH spread it before Yahweh.
So this is another example of what we have been talking about. First was message delivered in voice. Second was message delivered by letter. So, and the message that Yahuwah is saying that he will send to the king of Ashur is another type of message. It's a spiritual one that will go within himself. So it's the manifestation of the word.
Yeah.
So interesting, it's the enemy in this case is insisting by word of voice, by word of letter. So we need to be protected in any case, because this is a temple and we have different doors in this temple. So if he's not able to go through the door, he will try to go through the window.
Somehow.
If he's not able to go through the window, he will try to see if there is a back door. So that's why, when we say that we need to put the full armor, it's exactly that, in order to be protected and surrounded with protection. So in any place, in any door, or in any entry to this household, is protected by the Ruach of Elohim.
Yeah. If you can put this one.
Yes, 15?
Sí, yes.
Okay.
And Hiskiyahu prayed before Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are Elohim, you alone, and of all the reigns of the earth. You have made the heavens and the earth. Incline your ear, O Yahuwah, and hear, open your eyes, O Yahuwah, and see. And hear the words of Sanherib, which he has sent to reproach the living Elohim. Truly, Yahuwah, the sovereign of Ashur, have laid waste the nation and their lands, and have put their mighty ones into the fire, for they were not mighty ones, but the words of men's hand, wood and stone, and destroyed them. And now, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, I pray, save us from his hand, so that all the reigns of the earth know that you are Yahuwah Elohim, you alone. Then Yeshayahu, son of Amoz, sent to Yizkiyahu, saying, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, I have heard that which you have prayed to me against Sanherib, sovereign of Ashur. This is the word which Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. The maiden, the daughter of Zion, has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Yeah, thank you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? Against whom have you raised a voice and lifted up your eyes on high? Against the set apart one of Israel. By the hand of your messengers you have reproached Yahuwah and said, With my many chariots I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars, its choice cypress trees, and I enter its remotest parts, its thickest forests. I have dug and drunk strange water, and with the sole of my feet I dry up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago I made it? From days of old I formed it. Now I have brought it to be, that you should make walled cities ruinous heap, and their inhabitants were powerless, for they were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field, and the green plants, as the grass of the housetops, and withered before it came up. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and your rage against me, because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears. I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn your back by the way which you came.
This is a prophecy that we see it repeated
In different books, yeah.
in different books. When it's talking about the anti-Mashiach, it's talking about the system of the beast. And it is so relevant, and I will share it in a minute, a passage when you finish here. It's so relevant because it's connected to the prophecies of what's going to happen at the end. And I think what's going on here, we see it repeatedly happen in the future, when after the 1,000 years that is written in the book of Revelation, everybody will come against Jerusalem to the camp of the set apart ones, and it's going to be the moment of destruction. We know that it's going to happen also during Harmegido, that we see that everyone will come together to fight against the Messiah.
Yeah.
So I think all of this, though, is relevant to what's going on here in the story of B'YaHuWaH, is a important foreshadow of things to come. Okay.
And this is a sign for you. This year you eat what grows of itself, and in the second year what springs from that, and in the third year sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit.
I didn't have the chance to review it, as I said at the beginning, but I think it is interesting, the wording they're using. Could it be related to the Shemitah, to the Yovelim? Because this year you eat what grows of itself. During Shemitah, they don't need it to sow, they needed to eat from what was growing naturally. And in the second year, what springs from that. So it's not saying that they are going to having sowing and harvesting. So what we're growing naturally, meaning that basically he's saying that through a miracle is going to be an abundance of food.
Yeah, and for the
so it could be that is connecting this to a year of Shemitah or year of Jubilee. And again, if we go one level up and we think and we believe that this is a foreshadow of things to happen, it could be that maybe things will happen in a Shemitah year, a 7-year period, basically, or during a Jubilee. Okay?
And the remnant who have escaped of the house of Yehuda shall again take root downwards and be fruitful. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion, the ardor of Yahuwah does this. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah concerning the sovereign of Ashur, he does not come into this city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it by shield, nor does he build a siege mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and he does not come into this city, declares Yahuwah. And I shall defend this city to save it for my own sake and for the sake of David my servant. And it came to be in that night that the messenger of Yahuwah went out and struck in the camp of Ashur 185,000. And they rose up early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies.
Could it be that the Malach Yahuwah is the one we believe so?
Yeah,
The Messiah?
it could be.
Could be.
It
He's
could be.
coming with the sword coming from out of his mouth in order to destroy the nations that destroy the world, the earth.
And Sanherib, sovereign of Ashur, broke camp and went away and turned back and remained in Nineveh. And it came to be that he was bound himself in the house of Nisroch, his mighty one, that his sons, Adramelech and Sharet struck him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat, and his son Esarhaddon reigned in his place. So at the end, their own children.
Yeah.
And he was bowing down to the Nisroch. The meaning is like the great eagle.
So Samar here is very, very simple to see it. At the end, though they were being threatened by this mighty empire, they were speaking to them in their own language, just to seed discourage or to seed doubt, to sow doubt and discourage in the hearts of the people listening to them. They didn't spoke a word, and even they were insisting later on with letters with the same threat, threatening them that don't trust in his B'YaHuWaH, he's not going to be able to deliver you, giving the amazing promises, that they are not going to be in need anymore. What they did, they seek the faith. They were seeking the face of Yahuwah in order to receive guidance and salvation. Actually, if you go to the book of 2 Chronicles, I think you can read also the chapter 31, because it said in the 31, and at the completion of all this, all Israel who were present, no, it's not this one, it's the 32. After these matters and this trustworthiness, Sanherib, sovereign of Ashur, came. So everything that is written in the book of Second Chronicles, that reestablishing the service in the temple, removing idolatry, keeping Pesach, reestablishing the service and the Levites and so on, after all that happened is when Sanherib came. So this is also interesting because it means that we will go through trials. You know, even when we have, and this is something all of us, we have been facing and experienced in the past, when we are trying to walk in the path of Yahuwah. It's a narrow path, it's a difficult one. Why? Because situations will come in order to test how strong we are in our belief. This is exactly what's happening here, you know. They were all happy. They were having a king that was leading them on the way. They were celebrating and keeping the commandments of Yahuwah. They were, you know, having this shalom and this peace, this joy in their hearts. And then it came the time of testing. And what they did during the time of testing, they remained quiet, even though they were being attacked with words. They decided to seek the face of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah was guiding them and fighting for them in the battle. This is exactly what we need to do. That's the pattern we need to follow every time that we're going through difficulties. You know, it is written in the book of Joel, chapter 2. This is in Hebrew, Joel chapter 2, verse 20. Let me read from the 19. And let Yahuwah answer and say to his people, see, I am sending you the grain and the new wine and the oil, and you shall be satisfied by them. And no longer do I make you a reproach among the nations. And the northerner I shall remove far from you, and drive him away into a dry and deserted land, and his face toward the eastern sea, and his rear toward the western sea. And his stench shall come up, and his smell rise, for he has done greatly. Do not fear, O soil, be glad and rejoice, for Yahuwah has done greatly. Do not fear, you beast of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness shall spring forth, and the tree shall bear its fruit. The fig tree and the vine shall yield their strength. And you, children of Zion, be glad and rejoice in Yahuwah your Elohim, for he shall give you the teacher of righteousness, and cause the rain to come down for you, the former rain and the latter rain as before. So, you know, when you read this in context, you see that basically it's talking about something very similar. And the northerner is being understood, and I do believe it's a right understanding, is the king of Ashur. And if we connect all the prophecies, the king of Ashur is a reference of the anti-Mashiach. Now, we're going to do a very short trivia. Okay, if you have the answer,
Okay.
tell me. So, was this empire one of the biggest empire in the world, the empire of Assyria or Ashur? Were they able to conquer Jerusalem? If you know, just put your comment in the chat. Did they capture Jerusalem according to the scriptures?
Oh,
You don't know?
I don't remember. That's why I want to go.
Karen is saying no.
I want to follow with the readings.
Okay, so we have the first answer is Karen, and DDK is also there saying no. Okay, so while we wait for our other answers, I'm gonna ask another question. Who was the first empire? And let me put in context. So Pamela Santos is saying no as well. You know, we have the first kings Shaul, David was a unified empire. Then we have the two empires separated. After that period of time, who was the first empire that was able to capture or to conquer or to be on top in charge of Jerusalem?
It was not Babel? No.
Babylon? Okay,
I don't know.
Karen saying Babylon. Okay. The Persian Empire was the biggest one. Yaya is saying. Could be. Okay. Interesting. Babylon, Pamela is saying. Okay. So, according to the scriptures, Ashur, Assyria never captured Jerusalem. The first attempt, and I think it's the only attempt we see in the scriptures, is the one we just reading about. And the Yahuwah, it was during Hizkiyahu, and Yahuwah was saving Jerusalem, the city, from the hands of Ashur. And this is interesting when we talk about the prophecy, because of all the connections with Ashur. Now, regarding the second question, who was the first empire to take? And maybe I'm going to rephrase what I said. Not when I'm saying conquering, I'm not saying only physically. An empire can go and open the doors and conquer and take everything out. That's a physical way of conquer a city. But there is other that is not necessarily physical. It's just to have power over it. What's going on today with the governments of the world? You know, another organization, world organization, global organization, as just planting people that have been trained by them in different governments of the world. There's a way of conquering as well, right?
Yeah, at the end they have like a hidden government behind those local governments.
So from that point of view, the first one that conquered Jerusalem was Mizraim. Not Babylon.
But okay, from the beginning.
No, after the kings.
After the kings.
Yes. I'm not going to give you the details, but this is part, I do believe it's going to be part of the coming portions. And why I'm saying this is so important, because I do believe it somehow is connected to Mystery Babylon and the end times. And just having this understanding, it's giving us additional clues about...
I thought that Mizraim disappeared from the picture, like with the time of Moshe or something.
No, actually, we had some...
they're mentioned.
Mentions
from time
that,
to time, that they were like
putting their trust in Mizraim. Even during the time of Babylon and Mizraim, they were fighting between them. So they were still a big empire. And this is exactly what's happening in our days. We see big empires fighting with not with weapons, with the physical weapons, fighting differently. Back on those times, there were also big empires. Babylon was an empire in formation. Mizraim was an empire in declination, going down. We have Ashur also being a big empire. So why this is so important as well? Because we see that the capital of Ashur, what was the capital of Ashur? That's another question. No. Do you know what was the capital of Ashur? Somebody in the chat? Go ahead, put the comment in the chat.
No, Samaria was from Israel. They were
Samaria. Yes.
But from Ashur.
What was the name of the capital of Ashur? We just read about that.
Gaza?
No, Pamela is right. Nineveh.
Yeah.
So let me go.
I always had bad grades in history and that kind of stuff.
Let me go here. Do you remember who was the one building Nineveh?
That was Babel.
No.
No, Nimrod.
Nimrod. Here we have in Bereshit chapter 10.
Nimrod.
And Cush brought forth Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuwah. And the beginning of his reign was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Ashur and built Nineveh, and Rehoboth Ir, and Kelach, and Resen between Nineveh and Kelach, the great city. So who was the builder of Nineveh and the empire of Ashur? The origin of that was Nimrod, the mighty hunter. So I'm not saying everything, but just giving some nuggets to understand that the play of Ashur, that is the beginning of Nimrod, that they never conquer Jerusalem, and maybe now they are going to be able to conquer it in the end times as part of the system of the beast. So those are part of connections, important connections to keep in mind thinking on the end times. Okay?
Okay.
Any final words?
That we need to be like Hiskiyahu. And, well, not like Hiskiyahu, like Yeshua.
Absolutely.
Yahushua. Follow that steps, that examples, all the things that they have done. Knowing that at sometimes we're going to have to face a trial, testing, suffering, but it's only temporary. So our focus in Yahuwah, in His kingdom.
Yeah. And just, I'm not going to put in pause and suspense. I'm going to tell you why it's Misraim, and we're going to read about it later, okay? In the next portions, because I just saw the comments from Karen and somebody else, Camille, I think. Why Misraim? If you remember, it was Pharaoh that he took one of the sons of one of the kings, I think was Tzidkiyahu. And he took that king and he take him to Misraim, and in his place Pharaoh decided to put his brother as the king of Yehuda, and even he changed his name. So if Pharaoh or Misraim was able to do that, and they decided to set a king of their desire and even changing his name, because somehow they were conquering Jerusalem and having power over Jerusalem to do these kind of things. And that happened before Babylon was conquering Jerusalem. So that's why I'm saying that that's the reason that Misraim was the first one. So, but I think we will study about that in the last few chapters, if I'm not wrong, in the last few chapters of the book of 2 Kings. Okay, so final words from my side. It's always good. It was a good portion. Sometimes it's good not to prepare the portions and just to allow the Ruach to speak and connect dots. When we allow that to happen, beautiful things happen, like the beginning and through the study. So we need to put our trust. We need to put our trust in Yahuwah always. We don't need to fear the faces of men or women. We need to remain quiet, asking Abba to guide us on what to say, how to act, what to do. Because in the same way that he was able to save Hiskiyahu and the kingdom of Yehuda by sending a spirit that put, some confusion in Ashur, that they were fighting between them, and even destruction came to them, he can do exactly the same in order to protect us. And the only way to do it is by doing teshuvah, by doing what is right into his eyes, by protecting what is under our responsibility, protecting those surrounding us, and to love Yahuwah by keeping his commandments. And this is exactly what we need to do. And in the time of fear, in the time of trials, in the time of difficulties, what we need to do is to seek his face and guidance, to see what is his will for us, and to act according to that will. So once again, thank you so much. It's a blessing, has been a blessing. Have a wonderful week, have a wonderful Shabbat. Keep reading, go and read the 2 Chronicles just to have a bigger picture. It's going to be a blessing for you. And we hope to see you next week. If that's the will of Yahuwah. For those of you keeping Pesach and beginning Hamatzot next week, have a wonderful time in the presence of Yahuwah. For those of you that are still waiting, you're going to have a wonderful time as well. And we will see each other next Shabbat. So thank you so much. Yahuwah be with you all. And we're going to finish with a song like always we do. Let me do it here. So here we go. See you next week. Bye-bye.
אלוהי השמיים, הוא יצליח לנו, אנחנו עבדיו, נקום ובנינו, אין מקום לפחד, אין זמן לבזבז. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, סוללו לו דרך, ישרו לו מסילה, הרימו כל מכשול, הנה הוא כבר בא, העירו כל ישן, הזמן להתעורר. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר,
כולנו מחכים בציפייה שתתגלה לנו במלוא כבודך, אז ישמעו כי אדוני דיבר.
במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר. אלוהי השמיים, הוא יצליח לנו, אנחנו עבדיו, נקום ובנינו, אין מקום לפחד, אין זמן לבזבז. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, סוללו לו דרך, ישרו לו מסילה, הרימו כל מכשול, הנה הוא כבר בא, העירו כל ישן, הזמן להתעורר. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, כולנו מחכים בציפייה שתתגלה לנו במלוא כבודך, אז ישמעו כי אדוני דיבר. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, כולנו מחכים בציפייה שתתגלה לנו במלוא כבודך, אז ישמעו כי אדוני דיבר. במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר, כל קורא כאן במדבר. במדבר, בערבה, בהרים ובשפלה, קול קורא גם ברמה, קול מפר את השממה. בבתים וברחובות, בימים ובלילות, בחדרי החדרים, וגם על גגות גבוהים. במדבר, בערבה, בהרים ובשפלה, קול קורא גם ברמה,
אילחם באהבה, בחיים אין ניצחון בלי מלחמה. במדבר קול קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר קול קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר קול קורא כאן במדבר, במדבר קול קורא כאן במדבר.